Brother Phil here. I'd like to welcome y'all to my channel. I want to talk about the Revelations 12 sign as a signpost to the end of the 120th Jubilee. Now, what happened when the church was conceived, or when the church started? We know that 120 individuals were in the upper room. And the number 120 represents mankind. Okay, so it says any man, anyone, anyone's, beings, common sort, human, infantry, I don't know what that, low degree, people, persons, population, someone. And looking at the generations and the different numbers that God used for generations, because men have been trying to figure out what is the generation that is in the Bible. What is the main generation that is in the Bible? And Psalms 90 gives a clue that 70 years will be a generation. If 80, if you're blessed, you can live to be 80. But could God have given a bigger clue even when God was talking to Noah and he told Noah that his spirit would not always strive with man, for man's time will be 120. So right now I'm convinced that 120 years from 1897 to 2017 is the parentheses. And then inside of the parentheses, there are many generational numbers. Now, the number 7 is the number for completion. So the third time period for determining the length of a biblical generation is 70 years. Israel was Babylonians' captivity for 70 years, a number associated with completing prophecy. So the number 7 is the number of completion, and the number 70 could mean a number of completion plus judgment. It says in Psalms 90, once again, says that the days of man's natural life are 70, and if by strength he has made it to 80. Another generation that we're going to the parentheses of 120 generation is the number 50. And we know, case in point, the Jubilee cycle. The last Jubilee cycle was in 1967. And when you add 50 and 50, you get 100. So that will be our next cycle. Now, there are some things that happened. The Balfour Declaration happened in 1917, which was 100 years ago. So you add 1917 to 100, you get 2017. And 1947, 48, you add 40 years to 1948, you get 1988. No, not 88 reasons why. But you do get things that happen in the 80s pertaining to Israel's future. In 1947, you add 70 years to 1947, you get the year 2017 going into 2018. In 1967, you get Jerusalem. 50 years later, it's 2017. Now, all of these generations are pointing to the return of Jesus Christ for his people in the start of the tribulation period and the second coming of Jesus Jesus Christ. Now, I am looking at this video, and I am looking at it in a different twist. Sarcastically saying, if you take 0 and put it on the 12, you get 120. Now, am I saying this ends the church age? They started the church age before the 120 people in the upper room, and they were in the church age with the 120. And that would be the end of the 120th Jubilee. Now I'm going to go ahead and play Revelations 12.
Woman clothed with the sun. And
yes.
Revelation 12. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. And the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb.
So, could this sign be the marker that ends the 120th Jubilee? Now, I do believe that when the child, which represents Jupiter, is caught up, it uses the word hapazo. And I do believe that from the last blood moon, which is 28th of September 2017, to the great sign of 23 September 2017, there's 726 days. Now, when you look up, and I'm going to do it right in front of y'all. Oops. When you look up 726 Stroms, what do you get? Of course, there's going to be some editing done on this video. So you get I seize, snatch, attained by robbery. I seize, snatch, obtained by robbery. Carry off, caught, snatched, snatched away, snatched, snatches, snatches away, take away by force. And then you get the word hapazo, which means all these words I just read. I'd like to thank y'all for watching. My main point of this video was to show that God has set a marker in the sky to, number one, show that the Jubilee cycle of 120 is over, and number two, to show that the church will be taken out on a specific time that he has put in his own will. So when Jesus said to the disciples, it is not for you to know the times and the seasons that the Father has bestowed upon himself, but you will receive power upon high. And they went into the upper room, and 120, which represents 120 Jubilees, these people have started this church and it went all across the world, and now God is ready to close the door to the ark. 120 men and women in the upper room begins the church, and it will end with the 120th Jubilee cycle. God bless y'all, and I pray that everyone stays safe. If you don't know Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, time is running out, and it is time for you to get to know your Maker and know your God. Jesus is waiting for you with open arms. God bless y'all, and you have a wonderful day.